Welcome back to episode 10, part 2, all about agents. We are going to continue the conversation because our first episode was quite long. Okay, so let's discuss some things to actually look out for, caution, red flags.
Yeah.
Not every agency is a real agency, and not every agent out there is a real agent. And just like in publishing houses, that you have to watch out for vanity presses or people that might try to scam you.
Yeah.
This is how you know, maybe like the red flags of things to avoid if you encounter an agent. If the
Things.
agency wants to charge you money, for editing fees, like or for reading your manuscript, that's something to kind of walk away from. um your agent shouldn't be charging you any money to read the manuscripts that you're submitting to them. They are your agent. They are not. Yeah, even if you submit to a contest or to something like a fee to read your thing, and it's not like you're hiring an editor. That's different. You're hiring someone to edit your files, or but if you have to pay them to read your manuscript, that's a red flag.
Yeah. That will go for publishing houses too. Like you shouldn't have to
That's
pay
right.
for pay. You should not have to pay to submit
No.
a manuscript or illustrations to a publishing house to review. Um,
um when your agent goes silent,
yeah. If you
or
don't
that's,
hear.
yeah, if you don't hear from them for a while, when you touch base and you don't hear, you get emails back, that's something to worry about. That's probably.
And that can be for many different reasons. And it if they're it could be because they're too busy,
Well,
if they
yeah,
have too many clients, but it could also be for other reasons.
yeah, there have been some horror stories
Yeah, some
that agents.
agents disappear.
Yeah, there was something on Twitter, I think I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, that there was this agency that was just taking manuscripts and they wasn't even submitting them. So then you have all these clients thinking that they're out for submission,
So
and it's nothing.
they're just not, so nothing would happen.
Nothing.
But then the agency wouldn't make any money.
I don't know the full story. I don't know if there was any money charged in there or something, but I
Oh,
know that from what I remember that I read, there
I
was.
did. I think I remember that too, and
Yeah.
that's sad. Also, when an agent doesn't share their client list,
Yeah, that's something to watch out for. It's like, why would you not want me to?
yeah.
Usually they are
So
really willing to share their client list, so you can talk to their clients. And
right, and so a client list would be other people they are representing. So they should be transparent about that.
sorry, I
What?
just spilled my tea. You can keep that in there.
um, a client list would be
Fine.
other people they're representing, and it should be transparent to so you can look them up, see if those clients have produced any books or have been hired for any work that you're looking to go into. Like if it's illustrators, have they had any success in with book deals? If it's authors, have they got any book deals? So and you can also contact usually their clients and ask, just ask them questions about the agent. What
You would want to do that. Yeah. Just get in touch with someone and say, hey, how do you
Yeah,
like working with so and so?
yeah,
Because they might be like, I absolutely love this agent, or, well, if you are a person that likes to get emails every week or hear from them every week, maybe this is not the agent for you, because he
yeah,
or she usually. So you will be able to get more a better description of the agent's personality and way of working from
yeah.
the people that are already working with them. So
Mm-hmm.
then if that is something you're willing to live with or not.
Yeah. And
Um,
then, oh, sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
The next one is, do you see their name in Publishers Weekly announcements? Like we discussed, Publishers Weekly will announce the author, the illustrator, or just the author if it's just the author illustrator, and then who agented them. So, or who represented them. So you can tell if they've gotten book deals, if your agent has been able to get book deals for their clients.
Right. So that's a good way to see how active,
Mm-hmm.
that how well connected, how but again, it all depends. those people wrote a good enough book to be published,
Yes.
right? But at least it tells you this agent is getting deals.
Yeah, and it means, it either means they're really good at finding clients who write good manuscripts, or
That's
they're really
true.
good at finding clients who are really good illustrators, or it also means that they're really good at helping them um editorial wise,
Right.
create good manuscripts and create good portfolios.
Another good thing to do is you can go to Facebook and just say, hey, like there's groups for publishing, or for looking for agents, and specific groups like that.
Oh yeah.
And just go, has anyone worked with blah 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 with so and
Mm-hmm.
so? And then you'll get some people that will say, no, but and that has happened to me. It's like, no, I don't work with them, but I know them personally and they're great.
Mm-hmm.
Or um I have worked with them and they're fantastic, or this and that,
Or I
or
have a
used
friend
to
who's
be. Yeah.
yeah, or I have a friend who's agent by them, or
Right.
yeah.
Or, and then if you start hearing like, my friend had that agent and would never hear from them, or it ended badly or something. I mean, some relationships end badly and it has nothing to do with the agent.
Yeah.
But it's better you be more informed before
Mm-hmm.
you get to your phone call, if you already know what kind of working relationship they have with their clients.
Yeah, so basically you can do a little bit of research on an agent if like
Yeah, you
usually
should.
I mean you should, yeah, you should, but usually you'll do this if an agent contacts you, because you just want to find out who they are and what kind of, who they represent, have they been able to uh do I can't think of the words, do any book deals,
Yeah.
get any book deals, yeah, so that can tell
So
you how successful they are.
yeah.
um
So let's talk about how to find an agent. That way we discussed all the red flags.
mhm.
How do you do it? So first of all, you need to find out if you're ready. Are you ready? Do you have, is your portfolio ready for it? Do you have enough manuscripts or book dummies? Do you have enough that you can actually feel comfortable? Like you said, you took a year off
Mhm.
to get yourself ready, to get your work ready, to say, okay, now I'm ready to start looking again.
Yeah, and then it was hard for me to say, it was hard for me to know that I was ready, because I kept questioning myself. I'm like, no, I'm not ready, because I'd had so many rejections. But that's the thing, this industry is about rejection, and you
Yeah.
have to have a thick skin, and you just have to be able to continue. You can't you can't let it get to you, because if you let it get to you, you'll never improve. um and But a lot of times you may not know you're ready until you submit and you don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't submit before you're ready, but it's like, how do you know you're ready? How do you know, you know, a lot of people may not realize what they need in order to be ready.
Okay. So if you're looking for a literary agent, I would say you're not there yet until you have at least minimum 3 full book dummies done. If you have at least 3 manuscripts completely finished, for an art agent, a portfolio that you have a good solid portfolio that has gone to a critique, that is getting good feedback when you put it on shows, when you actually ask people for honest feedback.
Mm,
Have your work critiqued before you start submitting your art portfolio. You're putting yourself out there, and and like I said, you're getting the right feedback, saying this works with this doesn't. You're gonna get a lot of, oh, that's so cute, that's like, I like it. When you actually get from a critique that it says, okay, the work is successful in the field that you're trying to say, then you have it. And when you have like a full portfolio, 15, 20 pieces,
yeah,
and you are working constantly putting new work out there.
yeah,
If you have worked for 15 pieces and you have them there and you haven't done anything else for a year, I'm going to say you're not ready.
yeah.
You should go ahead and be a producer. Keep going.
And you also want to look at the agencies you're submitting to and their clients and what styles they represent.
Yes.
Because when, well, I think do we talk about that? Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that's another way to tell if you're ready, because if the art in your portfolio doesn't look like it's at the caliber or even close to the caliber of the art of the clients they represent, then you're probably not there yet. You just have
Right.
some more work to do, or you can go to another agency. Like, you want to make sure you kind of fit within that agency, not the exact same work,
Right.
but it needs to be at the same level.
Yeah, you're right. You look at the agencies and your work should fit, like you say, the same caliber.
Mhm.
You want it to stand out. You want to do something different, but it has to be at the same professional level
Yes.
of quality that you're putting out there,
Yeah.
that they are putting out there. So when you feel like you're ready, and you have prepped yourself for being rejected, I would say,
Right.
add that to your list of when you're ready. When you know that you're not going to take this um like a stab in the heart. I mean, just take it and know this is part of the process. You will get a
Mhm.
few no's until you get a yes. Um, and 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 get yourself ready for that. Don't go in and like, oh, my first one's going to be a yes. It's not.
Everyone goes through that. It's not just you.
Yeah,
It's part of the
exactly. It's
journey.
part of the journey. And
Yeah.
then and it helps to put your portfolio out there a few times in like showcases or competitions
Mhm.
or something, so that you know where you're at. Like I said, like we have discussed before, it's very hard to know where your work fits when you're inside a bubble, and it looks amazing inside your bubble, but when you go into the world, it might not
Yeah.
be. So make sure you get out of there and actually show it around
And when you're
before.
in a showcase, you can see it with other portfolios. It's literally right next to someone else's
Yeah.
work. So it really gives you a quick view of how you stand against other people in your field.
I would say if you're entering the field, don't go into Pinterest and look at the best illustrations out in the world, because then you're going to be devastated, because that work is amazing. These are super, super duper professionals. We are entering the field. So look online at your community, the illustrators that are already getting published, the illustrators that are getting book deals, because a book illustration and a beautiful illustration that is like fantasy work or whatever, they're very different.
Mhm.
Look at the book illustrations, look at the book deals, and then follow those people on Instagram, and then see if your work matches up a little bit in that section. And you'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm doing the same caliber of
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
Um, all right, then let's start with how you submit your portfolios. How do you find an agent? And you're going to hear the word query a ton, especially if you are writing, and if you are doing, if you're an author illustrator, you're going to hear the word query. I didn't know what in the world
I
it
don't
meant.
think illustrators use the word query.
No, but an author illustrator
Yeah.
does.
Mhm.
So I didn't know what it meant. I was like, what is a
Mhm.
query? It's a question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Am I asking
am I
questions?
asking? Um, a query is a letter that you are writing when you're submitting a manuscript, or a book dummy.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a specific way of writing it. You have to talk about your book. You have to, and we're going to talk right now to illustrators that are writing as well, and people that are writing books. We're going to talk about art in just a second, only art.
Mhm.
Um, in your query letter, the first section of the query letter is you introducing yourself, and you try to establish a relationship, kind of like why did you pick this agent? Don't,
It needs
this
to
this
you need
thing
to
could be an entire
personalize it.
episode, just this is what is the problem.
Yeah.
But you do want to personalize it. So think back, you go, okay, I saw your webinar this day, I connected with you at this conference, or I saw you speak at this event, or something that tells that agent that you didn't pick them out of,
Mhm.
a hat, and or it happened to be A in in the dictionary. You know, it's like there's a reason why you're going to this agency, because you like the work that they do, or because you admire the book deal that they have. Anything you can think of that will tie that will personalize that letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you explain who you are and what you do, and then on the second paragraph you start talking about your book that you have. I have written this book. um try query letters. It's funny that they are so important, because if you don't get past the query letter, they won't even look at your book then. They
Mm-hmm.
won't even read your manuscript. So the query letter is the very, very first step into approaching an agent. And a lot of people get rejected on the query letter. So
Mm-hmm.
so that's why it's so important that you have to get it right. And there are plenty of Facebook groups that help you with just that. I think Summit Club is fantastic.
Yeah.
They literally, like, you put your query letter in there and you ask, and you say, and they help you make it better.
Yeah.
So then you
And
talk
there
about,
are also, there's a lot of blog posts online
oh yeah,
for query letters with examples and resources.
because it's not a resume, and it's not just it's a very specific way of putting it together. So find out what they are. um then you talk about your book, you explain, but you don't go like, I just wrote this book about that, blah blah blah. You explain it in a way that is catchy, that is going to attract the interest. And then you have to add comp titles, which mean my book is like this other book here. And then you have to make sure that the comp titles are current. So you're not going to say it's like
Mm.
Dr. Seuss or a
Like
1960s book. No, it's
within the last
something
5 years.
current. Yeah, 5 years. You wanted to it's so your book should not be exactly like that book, but it's in the same genre. It's like it's has the same humor as,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know. So it has the same hero as Mo Willems, and then pick
Mm-hmm.
a title, and with the same heart as, pick another
Mm-hmm.
Oliver's
Oliver Jeffers.
Oliver Jeffers. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Oliver Jeffers. We build that, so that when the agent is reading that query letter, they understand where your book fits, what it's going to feel like before they go ahead and read the manuscript. Because you have to understand, they get so many manuscripts. They're not going to read each one of them. So if you,
Could I just add something really
yeah,
quick? But it also shows that you are up to date on current children's books, that you read what's currently on the market. You understand how it usually gives them a hint that, not a
yeah,
hint, it usually tells them that you understand how current children's books are written,
yeah.
and that they're not going to get a rhyming manuscript from like 20 years 30 years ago.
They're
um
not going to get a 1,500 word
yeah.
manuscript for a picture book.
Mm-hmm. Because you're up to date on current titles. You've read that, just that shows that you've read at least 2 other books. But that's good, they're current and they hopefully have something to do with your book. And that's what they want. They want to know that you're researching and that you're staying current and up to date, and you understand what's out there and you understand how to write for today's market.
Yeah. It also lets them know that you understand how the business works now, that you're not
Mm-hmm.
just doing a letter introducing your book or introducing yourself and it's like, here, represent me. But you understand, when you do a correct your query letter, it's showing that you are abreast with how the business works right
Yeah.
now.
And you're
Yeah,
serious. It shows that you're
yeah,
serious and you took the time to research how to submit.
right, right. um so you need the 2 comp titles, and then, like a nice closure, and then put all your information, all of that. You can look up exactly what you need in a query
Mm-hmm.
letter and how to write it. It's super important. And then have people read your query letter, because to you it might
Yeah.
sound amazing, to someone else it might be like, oh, I stopped reading on the second paragraph, it was boring.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
uh,
don't want it too long because they're not going
right,
to read a 3-page query letter.
they're not now. And like the
They don't have
description of your book
time.
has to be like impactful. The reason why we're getting like spending so much time on query letters is because later on we're going to talk about Twitter pitches. which is another way. And then that also has to be very impactful and quick. So it is a way for you to tell the agent, please read my manuscript.
Mhm.
And then the agent will decide, yes, this one is worth reading. So because like I said, imagine having to read so many manuscripts just to decide if you want to represent that person.
Yeah.
And sometimes they represent middle grade, they represent YA and picture books. We're not talking about just a 32
It's a
page
lot.
picture book, we're talking
Yeah.
about a middle grade sometimes. So
Yeah.
that's a lot more. I mean, they're probably going to read the whole manuscript, but they enough to read a few
Usually, I think they
chapters,
just send a chapter or two.
yeah.
Yeah.
So um there there's an app it's not an app, it's a website, it's called Query Tracker.
Mhm.
And
I never used it, but you have.
I did. So it's querytracker.net, and we'll probably have this somewhere in our show notes or whatever they call them
Yeah,
at the
I
end.
can list it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's super helpful. Not only is it will help you find agents, it will help you see how long the response time is for those agents and how many of them say yes, how many say no. It's a little bit less overwhelming when you have this. I think it's free. I don't remember paying anything for it, but you put your query and it helps you keep track, because that's something else too. You're not sending one query letter out there.
Mhm.
When you do, it's a good idea to do batches of maybe 10 or 20, 15 agents each time, and then wait, because and that's something else too. A lot of them are going to take up to 6 months maybe to write back.
Yeah.
Some of them might not even write back. So you want to do, like chunks. Okay, today I'm going to query, and it is a state of mind that you have to put yourself in. You query an agent and just see how they go. They start coming in. Some of them will be, no, thank you, we didn't fall in love. You'll hear things like, we didn't fall in love with the manuscript, there's no room in my agency right now, I'm not taking it. It might be a slew, a bunch of little responses that are common to hear.
Yeah. Canned responses.
Yes, and they're meant for you to just accept that that was a rejection,
Mhm.
and that's it, and no going back, but wait, what if I change this, or what if, no, it's a
Yeah,
no.
you don't ask. Yeah,
Right,
once
that's
they
it.
respond, you don't reply with
Yeah,
questions, or it's polite to just thank you
that's it.
or just
You don't
you're
even
done.
you don't even
Yeah.
write back to say thank you. You accept your response.
Yeah.
That's what it is, because you don't want to be overwhelming their inbox with
Yeah.
anything like that.
Hmm.
A lot of them don't even use email, a lot, which I don't like. This is a form, uh,
Yeah.
and it's super hard to get a dummy in the form.
You can't put
Yeah,
illustrations in there
no. So
or
so
file or large files, right?
right.
Usually.
Yeah, it's a form that tells you what's the
Yeah.
title,
Yeah.
tell me the synopsis,
Yeah.
tell me and it's hard to get your personality in there as
Hmm.
well. And then for book dummies, where you have the entire, I mean, for a picture book and you're the illustrator, at book dummy is the way to you show it. How else would I show that I can draw this book if I don't show
Yeah.
you the book dummy? So in those lists, in those forms, they don't allow you to put that. So what I used to do is, I had a Google Drive that was password protected, and I had my book dummies in that
Oh yeah. Yeah.
in the Google Drive. So in that section, I would put, for the full view of the book dummy, it's in this Google Drive. This is
Hmm.
the password. So if they wanted to see it, they could go there and they can view it.
Yeah. I have mine on my website with a password.
Right, it's in the website.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, a Google Drive. Yes, later on, I did
Hmm.
the page in the website where I would have agents, art directors, and editors.
Hmm.
This is your section if you want to see, read the book dummies that I have. It's password
Yeah.
protected, and then they can email you if they want the password, if they want to go in. Um, so that's how I would submit in those forms. And then the query tracker helps you keep track of who you sent it to, because you don't
Hmm.
want to lose track of that. What manuscript did you send to whom, when? Is it time to notch? Like after about 3 months, you can 3 months, 6 weeks, between 6 weeks and 3 months, if you haven't heard anything, you can go ahead and notch a little bit and just say, hey, I just wanted to touch base. A few, I sent your manuscript. I hope everything is going well. um, I'm eager to hear your response or something, just to let them know there is something there, because they might have a pile of manuscripts they haven't gotten to.
Or maybe they're on vacation,
Maybe they're on vacation.
especially in the summer.
Stay in touch, meaning look on Twitter. They'll probably say, I'm closed for submissions, and maybe you sent it when they were closed for submissions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe like you said, they're on vacation and you're like, okay, they're not going to respond to me.
Yeah.
So
That's another reason Twitter is so important. A lot of them post updates on Twitter, or
yes,
that they're open for submissions, or they're not open, or they're closed, or they'll be at this pitch event.
they'll even tell you what they're looking for.
Yeah. And
They
you
have
can even search hashtag MSWL manuscript, that's manuscript wish list, and find agents that list on Twitter their manuscript wish list.
Yes, which helps you. You'll be like, hey, I saw in your manuscript wish list that you're looking for a book about
I've got one.
purple dinosaurs who happen to be
Mermaids.
mermaids. So I happen to have one.
It needs a name now. Okay. Dinosaur mermaid dinosaurs. Dinomer.
Dinomer. Dinomer.
Dinomaids.
Dinomade. Dynamite. I don't know. The thing is, I saw this picture that has water in it. It's a 1942 poster from Goofy fishing, and it's like an animation poster, and he's standing in the water. And over there, I happen to have a picture of a dinosaur, that an old illustration.
Where would the mermaid come from?
With the water, I don't know. I saw water. I was like, mermaid. There you go.
Okay.
So okay, so we were talking about the queries, and I'm sorry to spend so much time on that. It's just, it is incredibly important if you're querying a literary agent.
Yeah.
If you're querying an art agent, you send them your portfolio, but you still have to have a letter introducing yourself, your credentials, anything that is about you. I am in the SCBW, part of the SCBWI. I have gone to several conferences.
I have won these awards.
Exactly.
That it's okay to list, like
right.
competitions you've won. Yeah.
And I would like to work with your agency, because so you still have to tell them why you want to work there. Why not work there? I'm saying why you want them to represent you.
Yes.
So that we clear something up. When we say book dummies, you can have a book dummy for a story that already exists, say Cinderella or Alice in Wonderland, to show how you would handle illustrating an entire book if you want to be only the illustrator. That's using somebody else's story, and you do a book dummy to show how you would do it. And then if you are going to write your own book, then that's also a book dummy, but you are actually putting your name as the author. You only put your name, author, illustrator is only one name. So in both cases, having a book dummy is a good idea.
Yeah.
But for an art agent, when you're looking for art agent, you're submitting your portfolio.
Yes.
When you are looking for a literary agent to represent you as an author illustrator, you're submitting your book dummy that you wrote and that you illustrated.
And in both cases, you need to look at the agent's submission guidelines and how they want you to submit. So very often for literary agents, it is a form that you need to fill out when you submit a query. But for art agents, art agencies, it's usually they will say an email with this many, and we've discussed this before, an email with this many images at this resolution, at this size. Sometimes they'll be very specific because they don't want to overwhelm their inbox. Some of them do have a form, but there will always be some kind of guidance under submissions with the agency. And they will typically say this agent is open for submissions, or usually under the agent's bio, it'll say they're open for submissions or not. And it will even say on their submissions page, please do not submit to agents that are not open for submissions, or
Yes.
like they'll tell you. So it shows you have to do some research before you submit to somebody. You need to make sure, one, they're open for submissions, and also two, how to submit to them, and how to whether it's a literary agent or an art agent, it doesn't matter. It just shows that you've done your research and you're willing to take the steps to meet them where they're asking you, submit how they're asking you to submit.
So now let's talk about Twitter pitches, because that's those events are huge now.
Yeah, and this will be for literary agents.
Yes, this will be for literary agents. So this is, again, if you want to write your own or write and illustrate your own book. So there's the website will be on the notes as well, as to there's a calendar as to when they have them. But there are specific rules. I want to say Twitter allows for pitches, I think there's like 240 characters, I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's a specific amount of characters that they allow. Yeah. And you have to write on the Twitter pitches. You still have to grab the attention. So again, you're telling them what your book is about. In a catchy, don't go, it's about a girl that walks on the forest, and then she has a red crocodile hood. Yeah, so thank you. I'm really going off somewhere else here. Don't do that. If you have to do Red Robin Hood, so then say like girl goes into the, like,
or it's like put a twist on it, like, right, figure out what your twist is.
Yes, make it catchy, make it like in adventurous girl goes into the forest, or like finds something in the forest, or
befriends a wolf. I don't know
exactly. You have to really work at the pitch.
Yeah. But you can read examples. That's what's nice.
Yes,
that's what you should do.
You can attach an illustration, not the book dummy, an illustration in it. So that catches the eye. That's really, really good, because that's a benefit about author illustrators, and that we get to put an image, and an image says 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
And it will, in a sea of tweets and just words, an image stops you, and hopefully it's a fantastic image. Pick a really good one, and that will help you a lot. The rules are: you can retweet somebody else's pitch. Do not heart it. Don't like it.
Yeah.
Because the hearts are reserved for the agents and the editors.
And that happens sometimes. And people like, stop, like, friends, I love you, but stop liking my Twitter pitches. Yes, because then you're like, oh, this person already has a heart. And so when you get a heart, that means there's an agent or an editor that is interested in your story, and they're inviting you to submit to them, which is amazing, because they have opened up. So now you say, so you fix it up, and now you say, you heart my Twitter tweet, my Twitter pitch. You hearted my Twitter pitch. You love me. And you invited me to thank you for inviting me to submit to you. Here's the full dummy. So that's amazing. That's really good. And then you have a few more here that are kind of like the Twitch, the Twitter Twitch, I think. Oh my, I cannot say that. Twitter Twitch is not. It's Twitter pitch. No, it's not. No, it's well, hashtags. Hashtag is, there's no hashtag Twitter pitch. There's hashtag PB pitch. Sorry, for picture book pitch. There's hashtag pit mad. There's hashtag mock pit. So hashtag mock pit is for like practice. You're not, it's not real. It's just for you to practice doing it. And anyone can like those. Those are not like, the agents don't really follow those. That's just for people to tell you, hey, that was a good pitch. Good job. Right. Like it's just you're practicing your skills. It is critiquing the pitch. So you can actually get good feedback. Yeah. And they might go like, you know what? It fell apart in this section. I got lost here. It's too boring. It's too, whatever. Yeah. And then there's also, there's pitches for, specific pitches, like Latinx pitch. And there's other ones like that. But like we said, we'll list, there's a website that has a calendar for all the Twitter pitch. It's called Twitter Pitch Party Calendar for 2021. It's on, okay, I'm gonna ruin the name. I don't want to say it. So we'll just list it. We'll just list it in show notes. And yeah, so Twitter pitch is such a great way for you to give unrepresented authors a chance, at submitting to literary agents. And literary agents actively use this.
Yes.
Because I think it's because it's so quick and easy, rather than sifting through emails, reading the email, or sifting through their form, the form queries. This is line by line, super fast. You know what? I like that idea. No, I don't. It's right. so much, and just a click and a like. It's just so much faster and easier to go through it. And the reason there are many other pitches besides picture book pitch, but those are for different types of books. Right. Those are for different genres. So
yeah, we work on picture books.
So we're focusing on picture books. And so that's why that's the one you should pitch to. Don't pitch to like horror pitch or whatever it is. That's not good fit for picture books. I don't know if we really covered where to find or where to look for literary agents and where to look for art agents. I know we said look in Instagram.
Publishers Weekly.
Yes. Query Tracker.
Query Tracker is the place.
And then also for the book, SCBWI has a book that has a list of agents.
The thing is this, for picture books, and we're talking for picture book agents, when you put art agency, a lot of them are fine arts gallery agents.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to make sure that they work in, if you're a children's book illustrator, that they work in the literary section, like in the picture, in books. A lot of them don't really do that. They do more like fine arts and installations and galleries. So you have to find, even if you're finding an art agent, you got to make sure it's an art agent that works in the field that you like.
Yeah. So I think, actually, I'm not sure what you would Google.
I would Google art agent,
children's
and then
book.
I would go inside each of them.
Well, I mean, I typed in children's book illustrator agency, and you get like the Bright Agency and Lemonade Illustration Agency and Advocate Art. So I think what you would, if you were doing a Google search for children's book illustrator agents, you would just type in children's book illustrator agencies. And then they come up. They don't come up under art agents or art agencies, because like you said, that's usually fine arts.
Yeah, galleries and things like
which we have been referring to as art agents the whole time, but because that's what they are. They represent the artists as illustrators.
Because it depends on what markets they work in. And that's why I'm saying this is the easiest way to find an art agency. Follow an artist that is represented that you like, and find out who represents them. And then you go to their website and you see if they're open for submissions. And if you like, the other artists that they represent, and you feel like you fit there, if they're open for submissions, you do it like that way. So it's not just do a search and get a list and go ahead and start sending them to everybody on the list. It has to be very tailored, because then you're going to end up in a place that you don't like. So you can find the agents, find the artist that you like, see who represents them, and then do it. So it's like you're doing it backwards. Pick up a book that you like, find out who the illustrator was, then find them, see who represents them, and do it that way. It's all just working backwards. So it's reverse engineering. So you'll find the agents who represent the illustrators. But once you are in the community, you see them.
Oh yeah. Once you know,
you already know.
You
know the big ones, the Lemonade and Bright Agency, and those are huge ones. They have the little boutique ones
T2.
T2, like a cat agency, and
Mhm.
you see, because you start following these people on Instagram, you start following those artists on Instagram, and you start seeing all the connections as to who's who represents whom.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
True, true.
that's the difference between being in the community and being submerged in this world versus popping out of a balloon and just going, I'm going to land there. It's super random. You can't,
Yeah.
right? If I were to go right now and go, I want to find, I'm going to start racing cars. I don't know the first thing about it. So how would I know who to go, what
Yeah.
track, what car, what anything? You have to live that world.
Don't ask. Don't go on Facebook and ask for a list of agents.
Yeah, come
Don't.
on, do your research.
But like we
You,
said, it's so it's I
it
can't think of the
depends on
word.
you, because it depends on the work that you want to do
Subjective.
and who
Yeah.
you can, if you're just starting out and you're just like, listen, I'm just gathering a list, you can. Some people will answer you and they'll be like, well, there's this, and they'll list the ones that they know. It's a little lazy on your part, but go ahead. Good, you can
Yeah.
do it. Then write down everything. But then you have to go into each of those websites and
Mhm.
for that agency and actually see if it's a match for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Hey,
see
yeah,
how to submit. It's a long process.
yeah.
That-
If it's not personalized and if it's just done blindly and just I'm throwing my portfolio out there, like to
throw
see if
it
there's
to the
seeds,
wind.
like if there's seeds and something grabs,
Yeah.
you're not going to get much back. And
Yeah.
so you have to be very specific, very tailored, just like your portfolio we were talking in other episodes.
Mhm.
If it has everything, you're going to get nothing.
Yeah.
If it's very tailored to what you want to do, you have more chances of actually getting there. So it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, we are going to talk about what to do when you finally get the phone call, with the agent. But I wanted to mention that before I went to work with, I wanted to talk about that
Before you started
before I
querying.
started querying. Yes, I had my book dummies. I already had my book dummies, but I went ahead and I hired a mentor, and he is just an illustrator in the community. He already has picture books already. It has been published. So I already knew that he knew what he was doing and he was offering mentoring services. So I signed up with him and we went through my book dummies and tweaked them. And, like if the story was flowing too fast in one section, if it was lagging in another, or if there was a better view, a better angle to do this, to tell that story with that illustration. If you're willing to, I would say that this step is important before you get to the querying, because of this. When you're working with someone and they tell you, hey, that illustration is hard to read, the facial expressions on that character are hard to read, I don't know what that character is feeling, you should probably redraw it, maybe from a different angle, or perhaps change the expression. If you're not willing to do that, and you are not willing to, or you're afraid to redraw that same drawing, you're not ready. Because we were
Yeah,
discussing
that's
about,
true.
when do you know you're ready? When someone comes up to you and says this needs to be changed, and you're not
Yeah.
willing to redraw it because you're afraid you cannot draw it again, you're afraid you're going to mess it up, um, or you just cannot change the expression on that character, you're not ready then.
Mhm.
Because when you do get an agent, you're going to be asked again to edit and to change it. And when you do get into the publishing world, you're going to be asked again to
Mhm.
redraw it and to rewrite it and to change it. So you have to be willing to take that chance and to be vulnerable in that area and to actually put the work that requires to
Yeah,
make it. So that is one thing to watch out for, to know if you're ready.
that's very true. That's
Yeah.
that's a good point. So yeah, so you can't take things so personally, and you have to be flexible.
You have to, because we cannot go into complete details as to, at least in traditional publishing, I am talking traditional publishing here. I think what I'm referring more is if you're the picture author and illustrator and you have written this story and you know these characters and you know exactly what you want to say and how to say it, and you saw them in a specific way in the editing process and in the art direction. It might be that they're like, well, how about if we tell it from this angle? Or how about, can you draw it from this other view? Or can you change this view altogether? Or the expression of this character? And you have to be willing to do that. Like it's not, you're not going
Yeah,
to be able to get the book finished and out there unless you're willing to work
true.
with the and make the changes. And if you're not proficient enough, I don't want to say it like this is not in a bad way, but if you are
Yeah,
not proficient enough to be able to redraw something 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, then you're not ready yet. Because
yeah,
that's what I'm getting at. Like,
that's
this is
true.
not to be like negative about it. It's just get yourself ready, because this querying and trying to get an agent is a big step, and it's an
Hmm.
exciting step, and you want to give yourself the best possible chance to get one, if indeed
Yeah,
you want an agent.
yeah,
So let's talk about the happy day that you get that phone call that you're going to have with your agent, that when you get to actually discuss that, maybe, if it's a good fit for you and a good fit for them, about, whether you're going to get representation.
yes. The call.
The call.
Sometimes it's a Zoom call. Sometimes it's a phone call.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, it's good to be ready with a set of questions, because at that moment you're going to be excited, nervous.
yeah.
You're going to be all over the place. It's going to be like, finally, like this is here, it's happened. So you want to have a list of questions with you, and they're going to expect you to ask questions.
Mhm.
This is the moment where you're all both trying to decide. Well, if an agent already set up a phone call with you, they are more than halfway there to make the decision that they want to represent you. They have already,
Yeah.
this is the phone call to offer you representation already. So unless you come on the phone, you're like, what do you want? I cannot possibly imagine that
Or
they'll
you
say,
don't,
oh, never mind.
or you don't show up.
Or you don't show up.
Yeah. You could,
uh,
yeah.
it could go wrong. But if they have offered a phone call, if they already take the time, like we did say how busy they are. If they take the time to
Mhm.
schedule a phone call, it's a good sign that they want to offer you representation there.
Yeah. Actually, they're going to be selling themselves and let you know first how they handle clients, how they handle business. But sometimes they may not cover everything. And this will help you know what to ask in case they don't cover some of these topics.
Yeah, because this
Um,
is the phone call where you make the decision.
mhm.
You don't have to make a decision at the end of the phone call.
Mm-mm.
Listen to what they are offering in representation, and then, thank you, and then say, I'll get back to you in a week or so. Give yourself some time
Yeah.
to reply and to think it through, because this is a commitment that you're making with this person. Usually you sign a contract.
Yeah.
So make sure that this is something you're willing to go into. So that's why using these questions are important.
And it also gives you a glimpse of the person they are, the type of person they are, and if you feel comfortable talking to them, if you feel comfortable with them.
Yeah.
If you right away automatically don't feel like there's a connection, or that they feel friendly enough for like you can tell if there's chemistry, because
Right.
if there isn't, if it feels tense or doesn't feel like you can talk together, then it might not be a good working relationship for the two of you.
Right. And then you're committing into,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a year. That's one of the questions that you have to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that it's clear. What is the exiting or the separation terms?
Yes.
Because there are some that will tell you cannot, seek representation right away. You got to leave some time. And then how are things handled? Because sometimes, even if say you got an agent and you got a book deal with them, and then later on you leave and you have another agent, that book deal still belongs to that
Mm,
agent. So you're going to continue working with them. They're not going to negotiate new contracts, with that book, but they are going to still be the one that handles your payments and you through that
mm-hmm. So you
for
still
that
have to
book.
work with them until the book is done.
Correct. Well, and even the royalties, man. And
Mm,
so one good question to ask is, where do you see my career going? And they'll probably, most likely they're going to ask you too, where do you want to go with your career? And then you can ask, what do you see? Or they might just offer their feedback already. Because they're not going to offer you representation if you're going to be a one book wonder. If they think that you have one book in you, then that doesn't make them any money.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And same for illustrators. If they don't see that you're productive, they probably won't. This is also the time where you would ask, like, if you don't want to be in a certain field, like, let's say you don't if it's a literary agent, or it's a picture book illustration agency, you know that I don't want to work with education in the educational market. If there's a certain market you don't want to work in, this is where you would ask them, hey, would you still try to get me work in this market? I don't want to work in this market. And if they say, oh, most of our illustrators work in the educational market, then this probably isn't a good
It's
agent
not the
for
agent for you, right?
So you want
Right.
an agent who feels comfortable in the same markets that you feel comfortable in, so they can represent you there.
Right. It will be hard for an agent to be able to connect with your work if they only like nonfiction and you write fiction.
Right.
So
yeah.
How can that be a good working relationship? It will be difficult for her to be able to, him or her, to try to sell your work when they themselves don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So like you said, you tell the agent, I don't want to work in this market, or with self-publishing clients, or with like you said, the educational market, or you make your boundaries, and you see if they're in line with where they find their work. If they say, well, no, I only find work in that field, and you can, like you said, it's not the agent for you. So at the beginning we said, usually when you have an agent, is because you're already trying to get into the traditional publishing market. That doesn't mean that you cannot have an agent. We're talking about literary agents here. For self-publishing, you can. It's just probably not necessary. But if you're going into the traditional publishing market and you have an agent, you can also get self-publishing books, and they can still represent you with a contract.
So that would be
up to you.
Though. That would be for illustrations,
right? Because literary agents can also represent you as an artist. So I forgot what I was saying. Oh, they can go ahead and represent you with self-publishing authors as well. But that's a choice that you make. For example, in yours is different. You can say, I will handle the self-publishing section, and the agent handles only the traditional publishing section, or you can allow your agent to handle both. That's something that comes into this conversation. You want to get all of that figured out before you sign with them.
So you want to ask them, will you represent me in traditional and self-publishing? Or you can say, I don't want to work in self-publishing, so that's not an issue. I only want representation in traditional publishing. So please don't look for work for me with self-publishing authors come to you as my agent. It's a hard no. I don't want to work with them. You can let your agent know that.
Right.
For me, my agent represents me only in traditional publishing, and I'm comfortable representing myself with self-publishing, and she's fine, and she was fine with that. So and every agent is different.
And that's important, because the reason why that's important to know is because sometimes when you sign with an agent, sometimes any work that comes your way, whether you found it yourself or someone came to you, or whether your agent found you the work, they still get a commission. Unless you, in this phone call before you sign the contract, you make that clear that if you find the work yourself, correct, you are just you're negotiating that contract on your own, and you are making all the money stays for you with you, and whatever work the agent finds you they negotiate the contract and they go ahead and they get their commission. So that's
Yeah.
important to highlight and to make sure you understand which way. There isn't a right away, right or wrong
No,
way. Is whatever you both decide and you feel comfortable with.
but you need to make sure it's clear when you
Mhm.
sign the contract, because for me, this, since I'm so active with self-publishing, I now had to decide, I mean, I had to differentiate, okay, when people come to me with job offers, do I send them to my agent or do I handle it directly? And in the beginning, it was very clear, but now small publishers come to me sometimes. And when they do that, I have to refer them to my agent, which is
Mhm.
fine. But a lot of times, small publishers don't want to have to go through the agent because it will cost them a little more. They know, I
Right.
mean, they realize that. So, but I'm fine with that because I'd rather have, make more on a project and go through my agent than have to, than handle it on my own.
Right. And it's with small publishers, the more of the talk about rights and royalties might come in, where
Yeah,
with just strictly the client, as in self-publishing, you don't have to worry about it because
yeah.
it's
It's
pretty
a much
much
simpler
well, it's what do you
contract.
it,
Work
it
for hire.
work for hire. You don't get royalties or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So another question to as we discussed, how long is the contract and what are the terms and separation? um it's good to have all of this before you sign and before so you're completely comfortable with
Yeah,
getting into business and trusting your agent, because you don't want to have these questions later on and you're like, I should have found this, oh, I didn't know this.
yeah,
From there you want to start working, you want to start just getting your work done. um a good question to ask them is, how do they promote your work? What do they do in the agency? Do they have mass mailings? Do they do emails? Do they do postcards? What do they do?
and if they do postcards, sometimes they'll ask you to pay for that, which is that's actually that's pretty that's
Yeah.
standard. But there are some times where I've heard that artists say their agency like requests payment for other things for promotion. And I don't know if those are optional or not, like
They're
um
usually optional. Like
yeah.
I believe
So
if
it's
there,
good to know that in advance.
yeah.
It's like good to know, like, how much am I going to have
and
to
I-
pay for promotion per
and it
year?
depends. It also depends because there are like we have seen licensing agents and others that they charge for a fee, like an annual fee, which covers
Oh yeah,
their
that's
travel and the things. It all depends. Our main knowledge comes from literary agents, so I will say that's not typical in literary agents. Not
yeah,
typical at all, or our agents to be paying a fee. um like
no,
you said, maybe a printing your own postcards and you send
yeah.
them over there or something. Right now with everything is email, it doesn't cost anything.
Hmm.
um you want to ask them what they need from you, what do they expect from you as well, right?
Yeah.
How
um
do I submit manuscripts to you? How do I send you artwork? How do you want this?
and how often do you expect new work from me? That's like like
That's a
especially
question.
for illustrators,
Yeah.
how well, that's one of the things I asked, and they said, well, we do a quarterly email, so we'd like to have new work to submit in the emails, the mass mailings.
Yeah.
So that just gives you an idea, okay, I need to have new work every 3 months or whatever.
um and then like I said, how editorial are you? That's another question. Like, will you curate my portfolio? Would how do we do this? How do we work together?
Mhm.
um these are all, I mean, and there's like a million other questions you could possibly think of. You can go to our Facebook groups and find, hey, what would you ask your agent if you're going to have the phone call? And a lot of people will give you great advice on what to,
Yeah, and they'll
something that we
congratulate
maybe
you.
something that maybe we didn't think here. And hey,
Mhm.
if you know something else, let us know too.
But it's good to have a list when you have the meeting, just so you know
Yes.
and a lot of times they may answer most of your questions like in their introduction or when they introduce themselves and talk about their own process. But yeah.
It's okay if you have several phone calls with several agents. It's okay if you had to choose between a few of them. You're not cheating or anything like that. Because you're querying and you're putting yourself, and you might get answers from two agents, and you just, it's okay. Be honest. Just say, I have another, but I have another phone call and I would like to hear what this other agent has as well. It's okay. Don't be tricky though, because agents know each other.
Yeah.
And just be transparent, be honest, be yourself more than anything. You're not trying to sell in this phone call, you're not trying to sell yourself. The agent is trying to
recruit you.
Yeah, it's trying to, exactly. There you go.
You're a new recruit.
Into the Navy.
Yeah, into the agency.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that you should think about, is that once you sign with them, that agency is tied, you're tied to that agent. I mean, you're a part of that agency. So you need to feel comfortable about the types of books that they have
represented.
The other illustrators or authors that are there representing, like you should, it should be kind of like a family. You should feel like you fit in there.
Yeah, your network grows, your community grows, and that's always good.
Yeah.
Wow, this was a long episode. We have a lot here, but it is an important one. I know this episode might have gone long, but making the taking the step to actually look for an agent is scary. It's a big one. It's one that everybody's like, do I do it? Am I ready? And I hope that all of this information gave you a better understanding of when you're ready, how to do it, and what to watch out for, what to expect. Because I know we kind of did it blindly at the beginning.
Yeah, we did. And what to look for. And there's so much conflicting information out there too, and it's hard to know where to look if you're just starting out. There's so much to learn.
You know why there's conflicting information? Because even though this is the way you would get an agent, you got to get your portfolio ready, and then your query letter, and then you do these steps, and then you find someone who got an agent at a conference. Because they sat down and shared a cup of coffee, or you hear someone that got an agent because they were friends on Twitter, and after many years they decided to represent you. You don't know how it's going to work. So this is the map to follow. But that doesn't guarantee it's going to happen this way, and this does not guarantee it's going to get you an agent. This is the map to follow, and then good luck. If you get an agent, let us know. Let us celebrate with you. Tell
We'd
us
love to hear it.
And we will celebrate with you, because it's a big accomplishment, and yay for you, and keep going.
All
right, bye.
Bye.